Alex Carter stood inside the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, a place that shined with silver walls and tall blue pillars. The room was filled with voices from many alien species, each one older than humanity, each one proud of their long and powerful history. Alex felt small, but he kept his back straight. He was here to represent Earth, even if most of the council did not care about humans. He looked across the room. Strange creatures with glowing eyes, tall bodies, or wings made of light stared back at him. Most of them whispered to each other when they saw him, and he could hear the tone of their voices. It was a tone used for children. Some laughed quietly, trying to hide it but failing. They thought humans were young, weak, and new to the galaxy. Alex had heard this many times before. Humanity had only been part of the galactic community for a little over 100 years, and the older species always made sure to remind humans of how young they were. They talked about humanity as if Earth were some small village arriving late to a grand city. When his turn came to speak, Alex stepped forward. He kept his voice calm even though his heart was beating fast. He spoke about Earth's progress. He spoke about peace, unity, and new discoveries. But he could tell many council members were not listening. Some looked bored, some looked amused, others simply ignored him. When he finished, an ambassador from the Empire, a tall alien with crystal-like skin, rose from his seat. He spoke in a sharp voice. "Humanity has existed for only a blink in galactic time," the alien said. "You rush forward like children who just learned to walk. You must listen, not lead." Several council members nodded. A soft laughter passed through the room. Alex felt anger rise in his chest, but he stayed calm. "Earth has grown fast," Alex said. "We have much to learn, but we also have much to give." The ambassador raised a hand, cutting him off. "Perhaps one day, but not today. Your history is too short, your knowledge too thin." Alex wanted to argue, but he knew it would make things worse. He stepped back and returned to his seat. Behind him, a few younger human officers looked upset, but Alex only gave them a small nod. He wanted them to stay strong. Outside the council building, the view of the capital planet was bright and beautiful. Tall towers floated in the sky, connected with glowing bridges. Ships moved through the air like schools of fish. The planet was alive with alien life and culture. Yet Alex could not enjoy it. He felt the weight of every insult. He walked with his team toward their small shuttle. Among them was Laura, one of the most respected on Earth. She walked beside Alex with thoughtful eyes. "They still think we are nothing but children," she said softly. Alex sighed. "They do, and maybe it's our fault for arriving late at the cosmic table, but Earth is old, older than they think. We just have not found the right proof." Laura paused and looked up at him. "Maybe soon we will." Alex did not know what she meant, but he trusted her. She had spent years studying ancient alien ruins across different star systems. If anyone could uncover something important about humanity's past, it was her. Back on Earth, Laura returned to her research base in Antarctica. The cold air bit against her skin as she stepped out of the transport ship. Snow stretched out in every direction, and a quiet wind moved across the land. Her team had built a research station near a large ice ridge after picking up strange energy signals weeks earlier. Inside the station, her team greeted her with excitement. One of the scientists, Holt, rushed to her side. "We found the source of the readings," said. "It's deep under the ice, very deep." Laura removed her gloves and went straight to the screens. She studied the readings carefully. The energy signature was stable but powerful, unlike anything recorded on Earth before. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat hidden under the ice. "How deep?" she asked. "Almost 2 miles," said, "but it's definitely not natural." Laura stared at the data for a long moment. Something about the readings felt familiar, but she could not explain why. It was like her mind recognized a pattern she had never seen before. "I want drilling to begin immediately," she said. Her team nodded and got to work. Days passed as massive machines drilled through layers of ice. Each day the energy pulse grew stronger. It was as if something under the ice knew they were coming. Laura spent long hours studying every change, barely sleeping. One night, as she stood alone near the edge of the drilling site, she felt a strange sensation, a vibration in the ground, a soft hum in the air. She placed her hand on the ice and felt warmth coming from below. "Something is waking up," she whispered. The next morning, the drilling machines broke through into a vast open space, a cavern. When Laura and her team lowered lights and cameras inside, the entire station went silent. There was a chamber under the ice, huge, bigger than any man-made structure on Earth. The walls were made of a dark, unknown metal that reflected no light. In the center stood a massive object shaped like a ring, covered in symbols no one recognized. Laura stared at the screen with wide eyes. "This is not alien," she said slowly. "This is something else." Frowned, "How do you know?" Laura took a long breath. "Because the technology looks familiar, not from any alien ruins I've studied, more like something humans would build if we were thousands of years older than we think." Looked confused, "But that's impossible." Laura did not answer. She was not sure why she felt so certain, but deep inside, something told her that this discovery was connected to humanity itself. A few days later, the chamber was cleared enough for the team to go inside. Laura led the group down through the opening, wearing a protective suit. The air inside was warm and still. Lights from their helmets showed the size of the room. It was like standing inside the heart of a giant machine. When she approached the ring-shaped structure, she placed her hand on its surface. The metal felt warm, almost alive. Symbols on the ring glowed softly at her touch. Looked at her nervously. "Laura, it's reacting to you." Before Laura could answer, the symbols grew brighter. A wave of energy moved through the room. Machines in the station above began to beep loudly. The ground shook. Laura stepped back as the ring came to life. A soft hum filled the chamber. Lights ran along the floor in long lines, connecting different machines that had been dormant for ages. "Everyone out," Laura shouted. Her team rushed back toward the exit. She followed, but she turned one last time to look at the ring. It was fully awake now. Its glow filled the chamber with soft, golden light. Outside, snow shook off the surface as energy rose from the cavern. A long pulse of light shot into the sky before fading. Back on the Galactic Council planet, this pulse appeared on every major sensor. The older species looked at the readings in confusion and fear. The ambassador from the Empire stared at a screen. "What is this? What technology produces such a signal?" Alex Carter, still on the planet, received the same alert on his wrist device. When he saw the energy signature, his heart froze. It came from Earth. The planet the galaxy had called young. The planet they thought knew nothing. The planet that had just awakened something ancient. Alex whispered to himself, "What have we found?" Laura stood outside the research station in Antarctica, staring at the sky. The cold wind brushed against her face, but she hardly felt it. Her eyes were fixed on the faint glow that still lingered above the drilling site. The same glow that had appeared when the giant ring under the ice came to life. She could not stop thinking about the symbols that lit up when she touched the ring. They were not alien symbols. They felt familiar in a strange way, as if they belonged to something humans had forgotten long ago. Inside the station, her team worked non-stop. Everyone felt the weight of what they had discovered, even if they did not fully understand it. Machines beeped, scanners hummed, and voices filled the room as people tried to make sense of the new readings. Walked over to her carrying a tablet. "The energy levels are rising again," he said, very slowly but steady. Laura looked at the numbers. They were growing at a pace that made her nervous, yet curious. "We need to go back down there," she said. Hesitated. "We should wait. The ring is unpredictable." Laura shook her head. We cannot wait. The whole galaxy saw the signal this thing sent out. We need to know what it is before someone else comes here looking for answers. Sighed, but he nodded. All right, I will prepare the team. A few hours later, Laura and 4 others lowered themselves into the cavern again. The air was warm, and the golden glow from the ring lit up the entire chamber. It felt like stepping into another world. They walked slowly, scanning everything. The walls were covered in smooth metallic plates. Some parts looked like they had once moved, as if the whole chamber had been a living machine. We need to find a way to read these symbols, Laura said. Pointed to a smaller structure near the ring. That device over there looks like some kind of terminal. Maybe it will react the same way the ring did. Laura approached it carefully. The terminal looked simple but ancient. It had a flat surface, no buttons, and no visible power source. When she touched it, nothing happened. She frowned and placed both hands on it. A sudden spark of blue light shot across the surface. The room filled with a soft humming sound. Stepped back in shock. It is waking up again. The flat surface turned dark, and then symbols appeared on it, symbols that glowed softly. They were written in long straight lines and curves, arranged in a language Laura had never seen before. But as she stared at them, she felt something strange. The symbols made sense. They felt familiar, not in a way she could explain, but deep inside her mind. Looked at her. Do you understand it? Laura swallowed. I think I do. Her team stared at her, surprised. She took a deep breath and began reading. It says this chamber was built by the first architects, she said slowly. They were human. Blinked human. That cannot be right. Humanity did not exist thousands of years ago like that. Laura touched the screen again. More text appeared. They came from Earth, she continued. A long time ago, far longer than our history records. Her voice shook slightly as she read on. It says the first architects shaped parts of the galaxy. They built giant structures. They created energy networks. They helped young species grow. The team stood silent. Whispered, this is impossible. We do not have any records of humans existing that far back. Laura nodded. I know, but this is the truth. Our history may not be what we think it is. She kept reading. They left Earth after a great disaster. Something forced them to hide their knowledge and scatter their people. They left clues behind, buried deep under ice and rock, waiting to be found when humanity returned to the stars. The team exchanged shocked looks. Laura continued. The first architects believed humanity would forget its origin, but they also believed that one day we would rise again. The chamber suddenly vibrated. The ring behind them began to glow brighter. Grabbed her arm. Laura, we should move back. They stepped away from the terminal as energy pulsed through the floor. The ring shifted, and a beam of golden light shot upward. It hit the ceiling and spread into thin lines that traced along the walls. The chamber felt alive. What is it doing? Asked. Laura stared in wonder. It is activating the rest of the structure. We may have started a chain reaction. Above them, in the main station, alarms went off. Scientists checked their screens in panic as readings jumped higher and higher. One scientist called out over the radio, "We are detecting new signals from orbit. Something is responding to the energy from the chamber." Laura grabbed her radio. Responding? What do you mean? There is something in space, the scientist said. Something large. It is waking up. Laura and her team hurried back up to the surface. They rushed inside the station as more alarms blared. Pointed at the large screen showing Earth's orbit. A faint metal shape hovered near the moon. It was huge, much larger than any human ship. Laura's eyes widened. That is not alien. Nodded slowly. It looked similar to the designs in the chamber. The station received a new transmission. A deep tone echoed through the speakers. Everyone froze. It is sending a message, a technician said, but we cannot decode it. Laura stepped forward, put it through. The message played again, a soft hum, a mechanical whisper, then a clear signal. Laura listened closely. The pattern sounded like the symbols she had read earlier. She began to translate aloud. It says Fleet Awakening, awaiting command, awaiting human command. Everyone stared at her. This cannot be real, said, a fleet waiting for us. Laura nodded. The first architects left more than ruins, they left ships, entire fleets. Far above Earth, the giant structure near the moon began to unfold. Panels opened. Lights came to life. The ship grew brighter as long-dormant systems powered up. Across the galaxy, sensors picked up these movements. On the capital planet of the Galactic Council, panic spread. The ambassador from the Empire stared at a giant screen. "What is happening on Earth?" he demanded. A technician replied, "We do not know, but whatever it is ancient and powerful." Alex Carter stood beside them, feeling a strange mix of fear and awe. When he saw the massive shape near the moon, his breath caught. "Is that ours?" he whispered. The ambassador glared at him. "What have your people awakened?" Alex had no answer. Back in Antarctica, Laura watched as the ring-shaped chamber sent continuous pulses of energy upward. The ground hummed softly beneath her feet. She turned to her team. "We need to keep translating the messages. There must be more." Nodded, "We will work all day and night if we must." Laura went back to the terminal. New symbols appeared. She read them slowly. It says the first architects built 6 main fleets. They hid them across different parts of the solar system, all waiting for the day when humans return to their old strength. Stared at the screen. "Are they all waking up?" Laura nodded. "Yes, one by one." The station shook slightly as another pulse vibrated through the ground. Far away in space, another large structure near Jupiter turned on, then another near Saturn. In the Galactic Council, fear began to grow. The older species had always believed they were the first and greatest powers, but now something older than them was waking, something human. Alex received a direct message from Earth. He opened the screen and saw Laura. She looked tired but determined. "Alex," she said, "we found something under Antarctica, something that proves humans are not young. We are ancient, much older than anyone believed." Alex felt the room grow quiet as the council listened. Laura continued, "We are descendants of the first architects. They built wonders across the galaxy, and now their technology is waking up because it recognizes us." The ambassador stepped forward. "Are you saying humans built these machines thousands of years ago?" Laura nodded, "Yes." The ambassador's face grew pale. Alex looked around the council room. Aliens who once laughed at humans now stared in fear and confusion. Laura's voice came through the speakers again. "Alex, the fleets are waiting for a command, and it seems only humans can give it." Alex swallowed hard. Everything had changed. Humanity was no longer young. Humanity was something the galaxy had forgotten. Something ancient. Something powerful. And it had only just begun to wake up. Brooke sat inside the small transport ship, staring through the window at the giant shape floating near the moon. The ship was moving slowly toward the old, silent structure. Its surface glowed with soft blue lines as if it were waking from a long sleep. Had seen many strange things in space, but nothing like this. He felt nervous but also excited. The message from Antarctica had reached every branch of Earth's space forces. A fleet made by ancient humans, humans who lived long before any modern history, had awakened, and those ships were waiting for commands. Had been chosen to lead the first team to board the giant structure near the moon. He did not know why he was chosen. Maybe because he was calm in dangerous moments. Maybe because he had studied old mechanical systems. Or maybe because no one else wanted to go near something that was older than most alien civilizations. The pilot spoke softly. "Approaching the structure now. Docking port detected. It seems to be opening for us." Leaned closer to the window. A giant door on the structure's side opened slowly, revealing a dark tunnel inside. Lights turned on one by one, guiding their ship like a quiet invitation. "Looks like it knows we're coming," said. The pilot nodded. "I guess it recognizes us." The ship landed gently inside the structure. The landing bay was huge, with high ceilings and dark metal walls. The glowing blue lines ran across the floor in long paths. And his team stepped out slowly, scanning everything. The air was breathable. The temperature was warm. It felt like the ship had prepared itself for humans. One of the engineers, Julia Stone, walked beside. "This does not feel alien at all," she said. "The shapes, the walls, the design, it all feels like something we could build, just more advanced." Nodded. "We are walking inside something our own ancestors made. That is hard to believe." They moved deeper into the structure. The glowing lines on the floor shifted gently, lighting a clear path for them. It felt as if the ship was guiding them. Ahead of them, a large door opened on its own. Stepped inside a round room with tall walls and a circle of screens. In the center stood a raised platform. "What is this place?" Julia whispered. Walked up to the platform. "Looks like a command room." He placed his hand on the surface. A soft pulse of light spread across the platform. The screens around the room came to life. Symbols appeared on them, symbols similar to those Laura had found under the ice. A deep voice filled the room. It was not human, but it spoke clearly. "Identity confirmed. Human genetic signature detected. Command access granted." "Step back, it knows who we are." Julia stared at the screens. "Try speaking to it." Cleared his throat. "What is your purpose?" The deep voice replied, "I am Fleet Corps 1, one of 6 primary command vessels created by the first architects, awaiting orders." Felt chills run down his back. He exchanged a look with Julia. "What happened to the first architects?" asked. The voice paused as if thinking. "Catastrophic event. Origin unknown. Civilizations collapsed. Surviving humans sent to safe zone, planet Earth. Technology hidden, memory sealed, fleet placed in stasis." Julia whispered, "This is proof, full proof. Humans were here first." Continued, "Why are you waking up now?" Human population reached required development threshold. Energy signal unlocked memory seals, returning to operational status. Julia looked at, "This thing has been waiting for us for thousands of years." He nodded slowly, "Yes, and it is not the only one." As if hearing his thoughts, the screens changed to show the solar system. 6 glowing points appeared, 1 near the moon, 2 near Jupiter, 1 near Saturn, 1 near Neptune, and 1 far beyond the solar system. "All fleets waking," the voice said, "awaiting human command." Took a deep breath. This was too big, too much. He knew he had to contact Earth. "Julia, send a message to Earth. Tell them we have direct control." Julia nodded and started transmitting. Meanwhile, far away on the Galactic Council planet, Alex Carter stood in the council chamber as more news arrived. The ancient human fleets were waking. Large structures in the outer solar system had activated. Alarms sounded across many alien empires. The ambassador shouted, "You humans have released a threat that could destroy us all." Alex stepped forward. "We do not know the purpose of these fleets. They are responding to us, but that does not mean they are dangerous." Another alien, a tall, thin creature with glowing arms, pointed at him. "Everything about this is dangerous. Humanity was considered weak. Now it seems you were hiding power older than our oldest empires." Alex tried to remain calm. "We were not hiding anything. Humanity did not know about this either. We are learning with you." A new message arrived at the council chamber. The council's main screen lit up with the face of Laura. She spoke clearly, though she looked tired. Our discoveries show that humans are descendants of the first architects. They shaped parts of the galaxy long ago. The fleets were left behind to protect their legacy. Now they are waking because they recognize us. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens shouted in fear. Others argued. Some whispered quietly to each other. Alex finally raised his voice. Enough. The fleets are ours, yes, but we do not seek to threaten anyone. The ambassador glared at him. You say that, but your people already control technology older than our entire history. Alex replied, we will not misuse it. Humanity will work with the council. We will share what we learn. The ambassador crossed his arms. We shall see. Back near the moon, watched as the screens changed again. A warning symbol appeared. What is that? Julia asked. The deep voice spoke again. Alert, external force detected, unidentified ships approaching, possible threat. Rushed to the main screen. A group of alien ships were approaching the moon. They were small but fast. Which species are they? Asked. The voice answered, scanning ships belong to the Union. Julia frowned. The Union, they are aggressive, they hate anything ancient. They think old technology should be destroyed. Cursed under his breath. They want to take the fleet before we understand it. The voice asked, do you authorize defensive measures? Froze. He had command. The ship would follow his orders. But if he gave the wrong order, it could start a war. Wait, said, just track them for now, do not attack. Tracking, the voice replied. The ships grew closer. Julia looked at. If they fire first, we will not have a choice. Nodded, I know. Back on Earth, Laura monitored the signals from orbit. She saw the ships moving toward the moon. Her eyes widened. She picked up her radio. Can you hear me? Loud and clear, he replied. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary, Laura said. We need to avoid conflict. Replied, understood. But before he could say more, alarms blared. The screens in the command room flashed red. External weapons locked on fleet, the voice announced. Incoming fire. Julia gasped, they are attacking. A bright flash lit the area outside as the first ship fired. Shouted, activate shields. The entire structure vibrated as blue shields snapped into place. The attack hit the shields, but the energy dispersed harmlessly. Julia stared in amazement. Their weapons did nothing. Turn to the platform. Do not fire back, hold position. The voice responded, holding position. The ship circled, confused. They fired again. The shields remained strong. Felt his heart racing. They will not stop. They want to destroy what they do not understand. Should we evacuate? Julia asked. Shook his head. No, if we leave, they will destroy this ship. On Earth, Laura watched everything through the satellite feed. She knew what needed to be done. She sent a message to Alex. Alex, you need to gain control of the council. If they do not stop they will destroy the fleet and maybe us too. Alex understood. He marched into the council chamber. He spoke loudly. The Union is attacking ancient human ships near the moon. You must order them to stop. The ambassador shook his head. We cannot control Alex yelled, then you are choosing war. Silence filled the chamber. The ambassador looked at him with a cold expression. If these ancient ships are as powerful as you say, then they do not need our help. Alex slammed his hands on the table. You do not understand, is on that ship. Humans are there. We need peace, not battle. The council hesitated. Alex looked around the room. If they continue, the fleet will defend itself, and then the whole galaxy will blame humanity. Finally, a council elder spoke. We will send a message to but we cannot guarantee they will listen. Back near the moon, the ships prepared for a third attack. The deep voice said, shields holding at 100%, enemy fire ineffective, awaiting instructions. Felt the pressure building. Hold fire, keep shields up. Julia whispered, they will not stop. Replied softly, then we must outlast them. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the screens. Message from Galactic Council, the voice said. Transmission to ships, cease attack immediately. The ship slowed. A moment passed. Then another. Finally, the ships backed away. Let out a breath he did not know he was holding. They are retreating, Julia said. Nodded for now. He looked around the command room. The blue lines glowed softly across the walls. They had survived the first test. But the fleets were only beginning to wake. And the galaxy was only beginning to fear them. Whispered, this is only the start. The sun was rising over Antarctica when Laura walked out of the research station again. The cold air touched her face, but her thoughts were far from the icy ground around her. She looked up at the sky, where she knew the ancient human fleets were waking one by one. The world was changing, and she felt it with every breath. Inside the station, scientists worked non-stop. Signals from the orbiting ancient ships grew stronger. New messages appeared every hour. The fleets were fully active now, waiting quietly for someone to lead them. Laura knew that the power of those fleets could shape the future of humanity. She hoped the galaxy understood that humans did not want war. But not everyone believed that. Far from Earth, on the edge of the galaxy, the Union gathered their main battle fleet. They were angry. They had attacked the ancient human ship and failed. Their leaders believed humans were gaining too much power too fast. They feared that the ancient fleets would make humans unstoppable. In a dark room aboard the main flagship, their commander growled, "Humanity must be stopped. If we wait, they will control technology older than the galaxy itself." His officers agreed. They prepared their ships for a large attack. Their plan was clear: strike Earth before the ancient fleets learned to fight again. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council planet, Alex Carter stood in the council chamber once more. The room was tense. Aliens from dozens of species watched the screens showing the activity around Earth. The ambassador spoke sharply. "We are receiving reports that the Union is preparing a major strike. If they attack Earth, the ancient fleets will respond. And if that happens, the entire galaxy may burn." Alex stepped forward. "We need to act now. We need to stop them before they make a mistake." Some council members agreed. Others looked uncertain. They did not know what humanity or the ancient fleets were capable of. Alex raised his voice. "Humanity does not want war. We do not want to use the ancient fleets against anyone, but if they attack Earth, we will have no choice." One elder asked, "Can the fleets be controlled safely?" Alex nodded. "Yes, they respond only to humans. They do not act unless we give commands." The council chamber filled with nervous whispers. At that moment, a new message arrived from Earth. Laura appeared on the main screen. She spoke with urgency. "We detected a massive jump point forming near the edge of the solar system. We believe they are coming. Their fleet is large." Alex felt a cold chill. "How long until they reach Earth?" Laura replied, "Less than 12 hours." The council fell silent. Alex stood straight. "We need to warn Earth defense, and we need to bring and his team into full control of the ancient fleets." The council elder nodded. "Do what you must. We will try to contact thee and demand they stop." But Alex knew they would not listen. He left the chamber quickly and headed toward the transport ship that would bring him back to Earth. Back near the moon, Brooks stood in the command room of the ancient structure. He felt the ground shake slightly beneath him as more systems woke up. Julia checked the screens. "More ships are waking near Jupiter and Saturn. They are huge." Nodded. "We need to prepare. If they attack Earth, these fleets might be our only defense." The deep voice of the ship spoke again. "Warning. Large energy spike detected. Unidentified fleet approaching outer solar system." Ordered, show us. The main screen changed to show hundreds of red dots moving fast toward the inner planets. They were coming straight for Earth. Julia whispered, "That is they are bringing everything." Took a deep breath. "Contact Laura." A moment later, Laura appeared on the screen. She said, "We do not have much time. You need to activate the fleets for defense." Nodded, "I know. But if we activate them fully, the galaxy will see it as a threat." Laura answered, "If we do nothing, they will destroy Earth." Looked at the glowing command platform. "All right, let's do it." He placed both hands on the platform. The deep voice spoke. "Command authorization confirmed. Fleet awakening at full capacity, preparing for defense under human control." All across the solar system, ancient ships lit up. Massive shapes moved from behind moons, from rings of planets, and from hidden clouds of dust. They formed lines and patterns, like soldiers returning to duty after ages of sleep. Near Saturn, a giant ship shaped like a wedge opened its wings. Near Jupiter, 3 round ships awakened, glowing with soft blue light. Near Neptune, long, thin ships turned toward the edge of the solar system. Earth had never seen anything like this. The ancient human fleets formed a giant shield around the solar system. On Earth, people watched the sky as glowing lines appeared far above the atmosphere. The world was afraid, but also amazed. At the same time, Alex Carter was on a fast transport back to Earth. He watched the fleets forming. He whispered to himself, "This is what our ancestors left for us." Back on the ancient command ship, the voice spoke again. "Enemy fleet entering outer solar system. Estimated time to arrival, 2 hours." Looked at his team. "Everyone prepare, this will not be easy." Julia nodded, "We will stand with you." The fleet burst out of a jump point like a flood of fire. Hundreds of ships raced toward Earth, forming attack lines. On their flagship, the commander growled, "Destroy the human before their ancient power grows stronger." The ships fired first. Beams of red light shot across space. The ancient fleets responded immediately. Shields formed like walls of blue energy. The beams hit the shields and scattered into sparks. Watch from the command screen. Shields holding. Return warning fire only, do not destroy them. The ancient fleet fired thin beams of blue light. Not enough to destroy, but enough to push the ships back. The commander growled angrily. "Their shields are too strong, increase firepower." More red beams filled the space between the fleets. The ancient ships remained calm. Their shields pulsed gently. Gave another order. "Activate defensive wave. Push them back but hold fire from heavy weapons." A wave of blue energy swept across space. It hit the fleet like a strong wind. Their ships were pushed backward, spinning slightly. Julia stared in awe. "We are not even attacking, we are just defending." Nodded, "We will not start a war." But the fleet continued to push forward. They fired everything they had. Explosions shook space. The ancient fleets held steady. Then the deep voice spoke again. "Warning, flagship charging destructive weapon. Estimated impact Earth." Felt his heart stop. The flagship had a massive cannon, one powerful enough to destroy cities. Julia looked at him. "We have to stop them. If they fire that weapon, Earth will suffer." Hesitated. He did not want to use deadly force, but Earth was in danger. "Voice," he said, "is there a way to disable the weapon without destroying the ship?" "Affirmative," the voice replied. "Precision strike sequence ready." Took a deep breath. "Do it." A thin beam of blue energy shot from one of the ancient ships. It crossed the vast distance instantly and hit the flagship in one spot. The flagship trembled, their weapons shut down. The commander froze. What was that?" Said quietly, "A warning." The commander realized they had no chance. Their weapons did nothing. Their shields were weak. The ancient fleets were too powerful. Finally, the ships began to retreat. The ancient fleets watched but did not chase. gave the order, "Stand down, hold positions." The deep voice said, "Enemy retreat confirmed." On Earth, cheers broke out. People hugged each other. The planet had survived. In Antarctica, Laura sighed with relief. "We did it," she whispered. On the Galactic Council planet, Alex returned to the chamber. The aliens watched him with new eyes, some with respect, some with fear, but none with mockery. The ambassador spoke quietly. "Humanity is not young." Alex nodded. "We were never young, we only forgot who we were." The council elder stood. "Humanity has proven strength, but also restraint. You defended yourselves without destroying your enemy. This shows wisdom." Alex replied, "We want peace. Our ancestors built these fleets to protect life, not to destroy it." The council bowed slightly. Back in Antarctica, Laura returned to the underground chamber. She touched the ancient ring again. New symbols appeared. She began to read them softly. They say the first architects believed in hope. They believed that their children, humans, would rise again to protect the galaxy when the time came. She smiled gently. "Now we have risen." Above her, the ancient fleets shined like stars. Humanity was no longer dismissed. Humanity had returned to its true legacy. And the galaxy would never forget it again.